the thing that I love is that like music is a way that she and I can kind of communicate. We're always sharing stuff that we're into, and of course I'm always like, she always sends me like, hey, check out this new band, like, oh well, if you like this new band you should check out this old band. And she,
Yep.
only goes so far sometimes, but that's the way that we, and also when she'll send me like a voice note like, hey, this is something I'm working on, what do you think? And it's such a window into her
Mhm.
world, and it's a way for her to share things about her and about what's going on in her life that we wouldn't get on the phone and talk about it. Maybe she'll talk about it with her mom. They have, but with us, I think it always kind of has to come from like, hey, check out this song. Like, hey, what, a very revealing lyric, like, hey, what's going on, and so I think it's our way of really connecting and communicating with each other. And so I am very thankful for that.
The first time I ever heard Gameface was my freshman year of college, in the college radio station at Pacific University when I had taken over a show there, like the nighttime show there. And the song Laughable became the song that I would start every radio show with for the next, I think I did it for 2 years. So I really love like Gameface and Jeff Caudill have a deep place in my heart. And it was fun because for a college radio station that was supposed to be kind of like playing what people wanted. Maybe I wasn't playing what people wanted. I was just playing what I really liked. And hopefully some people enjoyed it along the way.
Nice. I didn't have like a typical college experience. I like moved out the day, well, a couple weeks after I turned 17. I like graduated high school year early and was like out of there. Um, and went to community college. A bunch of us lived in a house and we were playing just like vinyl back then and listening to um what is it? The AM radio.
Hmm.
So I mean,
Love to talk radio.
yeah, and like Steve Miller Band and Grateful Dead, and it was like we went back in time almost. Nothing that we listened to was current at all, and a lot of drum circles. And it was like everything I'd listened to in high school and stuff fell away a little bit, and we went back in time. And that's kind of everything I remember. So it was fun to listen to Jeff. It took me kind of back from college into high school again a little bit.
It's
Um,
fun music.
yeah, and his interview uh, was like a step back in time. I can't wait to take our listeners back. So, welcome to Cassingles today, where we talk to Jeff Caudill and walk you back in time with us through his memories and his stories. It's going to be a wild ride.
Here we go. Hello, hello.
Oh, hey.
Hi, welcome to Cassingles.
Oh, it's great to be here. I'm always wondering if I should, leave the glasses on. I'm used to being on
It,
the computer with my glasses. I don't want to
all
look
right, if we don't
old.
have them on, we can't see.
I
We'll
So
know.
be blind.
uh, it works. It works for us.
Right on.
Um, it's good to finally like actually, meet you. We've talked over the
Yeah,
internets for a few years
I
now.
know. And I do. I feel dumb that we have not yet played together, like, and talking about it for so many years.
Portland is tricky. West Coast shows are tricky for a lot of people because if you're like the Portland used to be such a in the 90s and early aughts, Portland was such a great place for every genre, had a venue, had a place. Payouts were pretty good.
Yeah,
And honestly, the last well, since COVID, Portland
yeah.
is I think is one of those scenes that's finally starting to recover. There are more venues that have started to pop up over the last couple of years. So it's starting to revitalize. So
Yeah,
I think financially it makes more sense for people to head this direction now.
right.
And I think promoters are doing a way better job right now of really getting the word out and treating a lot more shows like community events.
That's
Um,
that's the key. Um, I was taught last night. I went to see Sam.
Oh,
And,
nice.
and back in the old days, that was the band that we would always play with. They would come down to us, but we were talking, we would rarely make it up that direction. For us, for my band, Gameface in the 90s, we would always go east and,
Right.
but I now, since my life has sort of gravitated up in that area, my daughter goes to or lives in Santa Cruz now. She went to college, she's graduated. Um, I feel like I really missed out because I love that scene. I loved that scene when I was a kid.
Yeah.
From the Bay Area all the way up to Portland and Seattle and all that. But I feel dumb that we never really. I mean, it was right there. It was, we
Yeah.
could have done it many, many times. But I wish I would have made more of a mark there so that I could go back today. It's just
Well,
Well,
hey, low
it's never
cost.
too late.
Yeah, low cost could have a Northwest revitalization.
one can dream, I guess. Yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's where it all starts. It's just with a dream.
Oh,
Well,
yeah. Don't I know it?
and talking about dreams, like let's take it back to those first dreams. Like, what was it like for you when you were little and just starting to dream? What were you like as a little kid when you were just starting out, like 4 or 5 years old? What was Jeff first like?
From what I am told and what I remember, I've got a kind of a quiet and creative kid. Um, I wasn't like, I mean, I think I was like outgoing enough, and I played the sports and all that stuff, but I was always more interested in kind of like doing a project on my own, like, whether that's, an art project or you're just making something. I think I spent a lot of time to myself in doing that. I'm not saying I'm like a full on introvert and but I do have introverted leanings for sure. But I do remember, yeah, as a kid, like really kind of loving that sort of alone time where I could just make something.
I understand that. I'm super artsy, so I definitely understand that need to make
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
Do you remember what your like first days of school were like?
Um, I mean, it's all a blur at this point. But I didn't particularly love school, but I tolerated it, and I had I had a good experience. I grew up in Orange County, California, and relatively middle class, and um, but yeah, I didn't really have like strong feeling either way about school in general. It was just something that that we all did.
Y'all did.
So
Yeah.
then outside of school as a kid, what were those things that kept you busy? What did you enjoy? Were you focused on music as a little kid, or were there other things that were more exciting to you?
Um, I mean, I was into, when I was a grade school kid, sports and that type of thing. I think like, my family was not like a real musical family. It wasn't like I grew up with music in the house, like not like my family, my house today. Um, uh, I I mean, I had enough, like sort of musical influence. There was, there was, there's music. I always remember listening to music in the backseat of my mom's car and all that, and being and always thinking, just kind of sort of, back in the day, you had no real reference or no visual reference of what was happening, and so I was very interested in knowing who the artist was on the radio, and that was kind of like my game. And when we were driving in the car, I would sort of, but I would think about that. But it was nothing I really aspired to do. I was more like, I'm going to play soccer. I'm going to, ride my bike. I'm going to, do all these things. But it wasn't until, you know, I guess junior high where I sort of discovered that there's a whole other world where people are doing this and they're not rock stars. They're not on the radio. They're not, on TV. And that kind of, kind of, ignited a little spark. Um, And then I started getting really obsessed about like records, and my parents didn't have a cool record collection at all. I would have to kind of find stuff. My brother or my friends, older brothers, and the girl that lived across the street. I remember like, borrowing records and stuff, and just getting pretty obsessed there. But that was, that was still like, junior high, early high school, and then, and then discovering punk rock, and that you could actually do it yourself. That sort of changed everything.
When you think back to some of those car rides in the back of your mom's car, is there a song that sticks out that brings you back to some of those trips that brings back a memory?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of weird ones. I mean, there's a lot of weird ones that
Oh,
uh,
I'll take a weird one.
I'm not going to be able to recall. Like I'm nervous enough just talking on camera
Oh no, you're fine.
but but
I'm the same way.
but I do like, and I told this to someone not really that long ago. I always equate the song "Still Rock and Roll" to me by Billy Joel. I
Hmm.
equate that with The Empire Strikes Back, and I don't know if it was like that was like the day that we went to see that movie, and that was playing that was playing on the car ride there or whatever. But I always think, and they have nothing to do with each other. They don't even really. But I always, whenever I think of one, I think of the other, and that's weird. Um, my
No, it's not weird at all. That's so funny. I think of songs as memories, and actually maybe this will help a little bit. I have a brain injury, and one of the things well, obviously I lost was a lot of memories.
yeah.
And I lost the ability to listen to music for a long time for
Oh
some
no.
reason. It was just hard for my brain to tolerate a lot of overstimulation, but music was a really big part of my life. And one thing that brought us to this podcast was actually music because all of a sudden I could handle music again after a really long time.
Wow.
And your guys' music is really just like a gift to me because every time we have a new artist on, I get to listen to your music again. And it really just unlocks all of these memories for me that I didn't know that I had. And
Wow. That's
they link up in these crazy ways because I didn't know that, well, I didn't know they're fucking gone in the first place.
yeah. That's wild. Well, I'm
And
glad
they
that you're experiencing these things now. And can that things are coming back. That's
And just so you know, they never make sense. Watching my husband's face as all of the sudden, and sometimes they are totally inappropriate, and watching my husband have to just live through as just the wildest things will come out of my mouth because I have no idea what's coming out as a song starts playing.
wow.
Um, the links are just kind of magical. And so I love that the Empire Strikes Back and that song just link up in a funny way because for me, that's such a gift that you share it with us. So thank you, even through your nervousness, for
Yeah.
sharing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. So
Well, it's
any,
and sensory memories in general just are just huge. Like when I talk about that with my students, it's it's all about you can remember something, but you can't really experience that memory unless you can feel it and see it and touch it and taste it and smell it and all
Yeah.
those things that go along with it. So the correlation between a car ride, listening to Empire, listening to It's Only Rock and Roll and going to see Empire Strikes Back, that makes perfect sense.
oh yeah, I experience music through, I'm autistic, so it's kind of synesthesia, this whole body
Uh,
sight, sometimes smell or taste even, and um, colors and all sorts of things. So the linking up between music and all that, it's so overwhelming. Oh, I love your dog in the background.
yeah.
Ours are passed out next to us, and the moment they wake up, we're in for a whole show. So
Yeah.
no worries at all. We're a whole disaster over here on multi
Yeah.
occasions. But we're in a garage, so we love it. We love a whole mess.
So who are those for you when you look at those early days to go from, it's only rock and roll, uh where does the kind of more punk side of things? Because Gameface came around at a pretty cool time in music where it was a new sound and there were all these bands that were
Yeah.
kind of, that kind of discovered this new thing at the same time. So how did we get there? Who were the mentors and the guides to that sound?
I remember, well, I mean, I was in, when I was like a junior high, I was I discovered heavy metal in, as one does in 1985, 86. And and that I thought was, that spoke to me, I don't know why, but on more inspection, like the lyrics didn't really connect with me, and but I was just sort of fascinated by the whole thing. But I do remember a kid came up to me and he was like, "Hey," he had a little cassette Walkman. He's like, "Put it on my ears," and he's like, "Check this out. If you like metal, you should check this out." And it was this mixtape with all these punk bands,
Mm,
Descendants, Adolescents, like yeah, it's just it was the entire West Coast punk rock scene of that sort of mid
right.
80s. And I was like, this also sounds dangerous to me, but it
Nice.
sounds a little bit more like it's really speaking to me. And so that was sort of the beginning of like finding like, oh wow, this this it seemed really accessible. And so and then when I hit high school, then you start seeing guys in the t-shirts and like, oh, what's that? What's that? Like, what's Black Flag? What's, and so that's when I, just became obsessed with all those, the bands that influenced, that would go on to influence my, first band. Like my first show that I was able to go to was 7 Seconds. And that was
Okay.
a life-changing thing because it was just, I mean, the music was melodic, but it was powerful and
This
fast.
was what year was
That was
this?
probably 86, late 86, 87.
Okay, so wow, okay. So
And it
we're
was,
three albums deep into 7 seconds, so they
yeah,
are
yeah.
definitely
So,
causing a
right.
scene.
And it was just, and the thing is, like, I had a moment of all that sort of super fast stuff. And I also discovered like the East Coast, the straight edge stuff.
Hmm.
But we were right around the corner from 7 Seconds putting out New Wind, which total game changer
Yeah.
for me, thinking like, okay, this is something that I can really, wrap my arms around. Not everyone loved it. Everyone, some people thought I was a little bit wimpy or whatever, but for me, I was like, this is exactly
It
what
was just
so
dark.
yeah.
Like I think that was the thing that caught people off guard with that one. It was just a dark album, and it was sparse in music. It wasn't what they expected from 7 Seconds at the time.
And there was actual singing and melody and so but yeah, that was like the beginning. And then, 7 Seconds and Descendants, and we discovered this local band called Big Drill Car, which ended up being like for some, they are the thing, and they were for me too. They didn't get as big nationally or internationally as they ought to have been, but that was, and then so that was like early high school, and we were toying with being in bands and trying. We weren't very good, and but that was like the sort of the switch that went on when finally going to see 7 Seconds, Descendants, Social Distortion, like all the bands that were sort of
Mm.
accessible in the area. But that sort of sent me on that punk rock journey.
And
But
was
but I've
guitar
always,
the first instrument?
yeah. D Dumbest story ever. I wanted an electric guitar, and I can't remember. This was probably, I was like 15. I wanted an electric guitar, and my birthday was coming up, and I remember I came downstairs, and my dad was in like the kitchen area, and I was just being an idiot, and I was using a towel to whip on and off the light switch, just like, hey, look what I can do, and I was just doing this and my dad's just like, oh my God, and I wasn't getting it, but and he said, I bet you can't flip it on, off, and on again. And I'm like, well, what will you give me if I can do it? And he's like, that electric guitar that you've been wanting. Let's.
Oh,
So I was like,
challenge
challenge
accepted.
accepted. And so
We have a 15-year-old.
yeah. So but yeah, and that's how I got a very garbage Yamaha. It looked like a Strat, but but anyway, my first guitar and amp, and but that was, yeah, I was probably 15.
How happy was your dad that you were able to do that?
I mean, yeah, it's the
As a parent, I know you do not ever say anything you do not intend on living with.
yeah. So yeah, no, it was that was the beginning of that, but um yeah, and then and I had a few bands in high school. We had a band that just covered we covered all those bands I mentioned, Social Distortion, 7 Seconds. We tried our best to do that. And then I did have a proper band later in high school. That we even put out a record. We put out
Oh, what's
band
the
was called
name?
the band was called No Such Thing, and we did a lot of covers and stuff. We were named after the Agent Orange song, No
Okay.
Such Thing, and we covered that song and we covered a bunch of songs, but we recorded two originals. And the thing is, like, before, as punky as we wanted to be, the single that we recorded, two original songs, were it sounded like it sounded like we were more influenced by U2 and REM than we were 7 Seconds and the Adolescents or whatever.
Hmm.
And I feel like that's sort of been the guiding thing. I go back to the melody and the music that I listened to, that I was like hearing. I was in the back seat of my mom's car, and the big, like, my favorite songwriter is Jackson Brown, and I love all that Laurel Canyon stuff, and
Hmm.
so that sort of informs my version of quote punk that Gameface ended up doing.
My
Well,
baby brother is named after Jackson Brown, so
All
I
right.
fully understand.
well, I love that because I think and I think the generation of punk rockers that kind of came out of that 80s and early 90s scene, a lot of them have moved toward more contemporary like folk music or country
Yeah,
music or stripped down sound. And I always love the fact that like I think, the songwriter, the songs and the lyrics were always so important.
yeah,
But now once again, they're equally as important. But there's just a generation now that can hear them a little bit more with a little bit more clarity and maybe take them a little bit more to heart. And then us as adults can be like, ah, now I really understand what they were talking about.
definitely. Oh yeah, especially you listen to a lot of the stuff that was made back then. Like it hits so much different now. Being of the age I am now, and especially the time we're living through now, all that stuff really sounds. It's way more poignant to me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a message that's coming through, I think, for all of us, especially in the communities. I think all of us are trying to rebuild from our childhoods that
yeah,
are really resonating with so many of us.
yeah,
Um, and I think even in a lot of the messages in the music that we've all been listening to and many of you have been creating your whole lives, there's a message that's coming through uh, that I think you've been telling in all your music your whole life.
Well, and I think it's the idea that's wrapping around community. Like we had a great conversation with Kevin Seconds. So it's fascinating that we're talking about 7 seconds because,
yeah, yeah,
we had a great conversation with him where he was talking about the idea of inclusion and that, for him, finding punk rock was finding that first inclusive community where you could truly just be who you were and you didn't have to justify anything or qualify anything that you were wearing or doing or saying.
yeah. Definitely. That was super important for me, and I can see my daughter kind of navigating that as well. And the moment that she sort of found that, her little subculture, things really changed for her. But on top of that, I mean, there's always been a lot of rules associated with punk, um, whether we want to admit them or not. Or and even especially like when I was growing up, going to more hardcore shows. I mean, everyone's shouting about inclusion and shouting about all these themes, but you look around and it's 90% white dudes. And
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
but I love look. I mean, not that I'm an old guy, but I do love looking around today, where in the new punk rock scene, indie scene, et cetera, I feel like that dream is finally really being fulfilled. Like there is all kind of people. Like and just the presence of, like, there's so many female bands,
Yeah.
and that was it was one in 100 back in the day. It was like, oh wow, it's a girl band, but now anyway, it's just become more of a common thing. There's like a lot. There's finally that diverse voice that we've been shouting about for decades, and I feel like that it's finally really happening.
Well, and it's fascinating. I talk a lot about like not loving the scrolling on TikTok through music and the like it's so hard to lock in on something and my ADD doesn't want me to stop on anything. I just want to keep scrolling. But the one thing that I have seen is that, where we used to dig through the record bins, our 15-year-old will sit there on TikTok and
Yeah,
scroll just like we did in the record bins until she
right.
finds something that actually she likes.
Yeah,
And then that's
She shares it with
yeah, then
us.
she shares it with us and it takes, it takes over her world for a bit and it's the same love that we had. It's a weird way to think about it like but
yeah, true,
but
true.
the diversity in the culture is so much easier to access because everybody can do it.
Well, and I actually
Right.
appreciate what you just named because well, as was a woman and just someone who's autistic and didn't know that growing
Yeah,
up,
yeah,
because it just wasn't something that they diagnosed for girls. I struggled in like social groups and in all scenes. I went through every scene. I went through punk scene. I went through the alternative scene. I went through the goth scene. I went through every scene as a kid trying to find my place in anywhere. And I just
yeah,
struggled being accepted in any of the scenes. And it wasn't necessarily through any scenes problem. It was a problem just being an autistic girl trying to find my place partly and partly through I think everything kind of has their thing, right? Like what what it is to fit in their scene. And sometimes that has its own look or its own feel. And especially when you're autistic and trying to figure it out, it's hard to
yeah,
fit in with that. And I really struggled throughout my
yeah,
youth trying to figure that out.
yeah,
So now when I'm kind of re-emerging as an adult and much more aware of who I am, and also it's a much more inclusive scene now in a lot of ways. And it feels so much nicer to re-enter. And in conversations with musicians or in the shows that we've attended, the culture has shifted in such a more community minded way. It is such a kinder place. It feels so good to take our daughter to shows and whatnot,
right, right.
introducing her into this community in which musicians welcome her. It's been so kind and pleasant and just such a refreshing experience that was so different from when I
Yeah.
when I was young. She's autistic as well, and so that's a very nice um, and encouraging thing because I just want her to embrace music so much as I did and love it as much as I do. So
Which is hilarious because we have a house full of folk instruments, everything from a harp to a million guitars and pianos and things like that all over the place.
Yeah.
And she
not one.
not one ever.
Wow.
We
Well,
never we never pushed. We just
We pray.
left them around and hoped. And luckily,
yeah, yeah,
she's got
yeah,
a beautiful voice and she's in choir. But it was always a
She likes
surprising
bugs.
thing that she likes bugs. It was always a surprising thing that she never picked up anything. So with your family, you obviously watched your daughter kind of blossom into career woman.
yeah.
So how, what was kind of your trick in mentoring her?
I I think it was gentle. I think that like the way the best way to I think that me and my wife we modeled a way that you can be creative and express yourself and that I think that and I guess through all this I guess I'm trying to get through all this stuff her you know gravitating into music towards music and eventually really wanting to pursue it and that maybe not as like an ultimate career but as something that's a huge part of her life. Through all of it, there was never any talk of her wanting to like I want to do this because I want to be famous or I want to do this because I want to succeed. It's like I want to do this because oh my God, you can do this. Like it was like I think that because I was dad had a job and my daughter knew that the thing that really lights me up is creating music and we would play stuff around the house, town or around the house drive around, listen to new stuff. Like we would always talk about like, hey, I would always get, it was, I would love this. Like we would listen to a song. She'd be in the, very small still in the back in the car seat, and song would finish and she's like, hey, what do you think that song was about? And so we would talk about,
Mm.
and sometimes like a piece of instrumental music would come on and she would ask the same thing. And like, what do you think that was about? And so I could tell that this stuff is really getting in there and like stirring up all these emotions and ideas and stuff. And so yeah, we talked a lot about music, but I think that I showed that you can do it, whatever you really want to do and create, you can do it. She started writing songs on the piano. She had piano lessons when she was young, and we kind of, we said she should do piano because I didn't do it. I don't know anything about reading music. I don't. I wish I did. I'm a hack on the
I feel
guitar.
that.
I love to write songs, but I don't. I couldn't tell you I couldn't tell you the chords I'm playing most of the time. But we wanted her to have a foundation because I could tell that she had the thing. Do piano, do it for a few years, and so we did it, and she enjoyed it up until it got really hard. But we said one more year. We're going to push through. And that was a good idea. She stuck with it, but then she started, writing her own things, and I gave her a little ukulele because there was a time back where ukulele was the hot thing,
Oh
you
yes.
know,
We have
and
a couple.
so and that was it. That was it.
Jason Mraz made a whole industry out of ukuleles again.
And she was obsessed with the band 21 Pilots, and they had a couple
Yes.
ukulele jams, and
Yep.
and that was a nice gateway to eventually learning guitar. Um, and but when I noticed that she was actually writing songs and putting these things together, I said, I know some people, we could go to a studio and just and record it. And she's like, you can do that? I was like, yeah, and so when we were doing it, this is very early on, and she was 13.
Oh, wow.
We recorded these songs and we just sort of pieced them together. I didn't play anything. Like she was just figuring it out, and we were just kind of letting her explore the studio. And when we were doing it, I was talking to the guy who, that was recording, and he's like, "These are actually really good songs. You should consider putting them out." And I asked her, I said, Mel, would you want to, put them up on the internet, like Bandcamp or whatever? And she's like, again, you can do that. You don't need to be like a fan. You don't. And like, yeah, you can do whatever you want. Let's go for it. And and then the rest is, we're off to the races after that. But yeah, I think that I forgot what you even asked me, but I think that
Exactly. Know exactly what you're saying. Just your experience in mentoring Melody through her musical journey.
That was the sweetest story. Thank you.
yeah,
I I want to just say I give you all your flowers for guiding your daughter in the gentlest way and finding those moments. I know as a parent, it can be a challenge and the greatest gift and joy. But also it can be really challenging sometimes knowing when to push and when to back off and when to um, find those just perfect moments where you find that spark in your child that just lights them. But also when they want to give up and you're not sure if it's the time when they're overwhelmed and you're like, oh God, do I let them just go or do I keep pushing through, right?
yeah,
And what I just heard in there and what I watched on your face was just you light up when you talked about your daughter. And as somebody with a daughter who,
yeah,
I mean, as much as we know our daughter loves art and she loves music, but my daughter loves insects and reptiles more than you've ever seen anyone love anything. So as much as I'd love her to pick up a guitar and sing all
yeah,
day, this child wants to study bugs. So at every turn, we take her to reptile and insect things. And so watching your face talk about the moments that you found that spark and just fed it as a mom, I just God, it makes me just love your soul so much because I know those moments and I could just see the love for your daughter.
That's
And I just thank you for that because those are the moments that just change this whole world, helping her find that moment and those things that feed her and will help her just feed her soul and um, find things that spark joy and kind of whimsy and magic in this world are just so joyous to me and help just make everything in this world better. And I just thank you so much for that.
oh,
Thank you
thank
for
you.
sharing that.
Well, and
Uh,
it's
um, the,
oh, go ahead.
uh, the thing is, yeah, like talking about like diving into your kid's interest, no matter what it is. Like for us, it could have been anything, and it was different things along the way. Like she was really into soccer, really into dance, and whatever. And during those times, I was like whatever it is you're into, I'm into that. Like she,
I
Love it.
was the biggest volleyball dad in the world
yeah,
for the
like
last few years.
if that's your thing, that's my thing. Like let's. But we do like my wife and I joke occasionally about like when we talk about like where all the journey with all these things, all of her interests and where she ended up, and my wife is always like, dude, you won. Like she really chose like your path. Like, and I wasn't really trying, again, we were never really, we just modeled things like this. This is, if you want, like, think it, dream it, and you can make it, but,
Yeah.
Well,
but yeah,
yeah.
there was a time we were obsessed with Harry Potter, and we were obsessed with, just the
Oh,
whatever.
yeah, we've got them all on the shelf. Like, we
Yeah.
understand. We've got all the things.
Yeah.
You can see our garage behind us. Well, we have half of it's blocked, so you can't see the whole shit show. But
We had a
like,
big flood a bunch of years ago, and our garage was the housing place for everything. And then we just realized it's just gonna stay that way.
so it's our garage of shame. But like, all the stuff is back there, and every project and all the interests. So we fully understand. We've been all the interests.
Well, I think one thing that I like watching, over the last few years, is that it doesn't feel like you are ever living vicariously through her music world. Like, it's you champion her music and you're her biggest supporter, which is
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Um, but it, you know, is it weird a little bit watching the foundation of her career kind of in a way mimic maybe some of yours?
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I love it. But yeah, I try not to go to think too deeply about like all that, and I'm just enjoying it for what it is, and being really grateful that I have the opportunity to kind of watch this happen, and wherever it leads, like it may, and it may, this might be it, and this
Yeah.
and that's great, and that's fine, and but the thing that I love is that like music is a way that she and I can kind of communicate. We're always sharing stuff that we're into, and of course I'm always like, she always sends me like, hey, check out this new band. Like, oh well, if you like this new band, you should check out this old band. And she, that that
Yep.
that that only goes so far sometimes, but that's the way that we, and also when she'll send me like a voice note like, hey, this is something I'm working on, what do you think? And it's such a window into her
Mhm.
world, and it's a way for her to share things about her and about what's going on in her life that we wouldn't get on the phone and talk about it. Maybe she'll talk about it with her mom. They have, but with us, I think it always kind of has to come from like, hey, check out this song. Like, hey, what, a very revealing lyric, like, hey, what's going on, and so I think it's our way of, really connecting and communicating with each other. And so I am very thankful for that. I had great parents, but we were not, I mean, let's just, without having this turn into a different sort of podcast, not the same kind of parents that me
Right.
and my wife have been.
Yeah.
And um, but yeah, I'm grateful for our connection where it allows us to talk about things that wouldn't come up otherwise. We
I
get
love
to,
that.
yeah. Anyway, I'm going up to Santa Cruz this weekend to spend some time with her. We're gonna go. You know the band I'm with her.
I
It's Taylor
do.
Watkins and I
Yeah,
don't.
they've got there's one of them, Sarah, I can't remember her last name. It's from, I believe it's from Portland. So
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, so I know that they pop up quite a bit over here.
Yeah, we're gonna see them like that, and that Nickel Creek and all, that
Ah,
sort of thing. That was one of the things that we that was all in the house when she was young, and she's grown up listening to all that stuff, and I try to keep that on her radar, and so we're gonna go see them
Oh,
that's
nice.
awesome.
this Friday, and then I'll sort of spend some time up there with her. But yeah, like for us, it's always been like we definitely, like I said, if she's into it, I'm into it. Like she was obsessed with this kid from England, Declan McKenna,
Hmm.
and he's pretty. I think he's still quite bigger in the UK and in Europe and whatnot. But he did a small tour in the States many years ago, 6 years. The time frame's a blur, but she
Time,
was
yeah, time
young.
doesn't exist anymore.
But it turns out that the LA show, we weren't going to be in town, but we saw that he was playing all around, and like, you know what? We could make a little weekend out of this, and we flew out to Colorado, and we
Oh,
saw him play two shows, like in Denver and Colorado Springs, or I can't remember, but yeah, it was like these very small club shows. She got to meet him, it was all this, but she was just obsessed at the time, and so um, we've done these little trips. Oh, fun fact: the opener at those Declan McKenna shows in Denver, or in both the Colorado shows, the opener was this young girl named Chapel Roan.
oh,
Oh,
oh wow.
Yeah, and it was just a kid with a sort of a keyboard and a backing track,
Wow.
but she was, yeah, that was the opener. But anyway, like
oh, so fun.
the weekend, it was just like, I will remember that. Like we've done other things like that, like where we've traveled to make, like that was the destination we're going to go see. We went to see Pine Grove out in the desert in
Mhm.
Joshua Tree, and that was like
Oh,
still one of our like favorite memories.
Yeah.
oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, with every one of our guests, one of the things that we do is when I'm listening to your music, which feels for me like kind of the first time again, is I used to be a teacher and an administrator and some kind of curriculum designer.
Mm,
So as I'm listening, I try to think of lessons that I would do with your music in the classroom.
wow.
Take my glasses off because I'm old and blind now. Uh, so the song that I thought that I would use in the classroom for a lesson is the song "Anyone Can Write a Song."
Oh,
And the name of the lesson is The Sound of You. So the purpose would be to use a song to identify a specific trait or theme or identify a moment for a character or a plot point in a text. So my idea was that they would use their own novel or whatever they're reading. So in the classroom, I'd use this in really, you could use it at any grade level as long as they're doing independent reading. Um, and then play your song, display the lyrics. And the idea is that while they're looking at it, have them think about what are these kind of lyrics telling us? And then discuss how songs become memories for us. Um, they're linked to us, they're tied to memories, to moments, to places, to people and identities. And then have them kind of talk about what songs have meaning for them. Why do they have those meanings? And then start really in groups and together, kind of linking those things together.
that's awesome.
And then start linking that back to their own books and what songs can they think of that would link back up to significant moments or plot points for characters within their stories.
Yeah, yeah.
And then create with a lyric, an illustration, and here is what I came up with.
We'll send these
And I'll
over
send it
to
to
you
you
as
because I
well.
know it
Oh
will be
yeah,
hard
yeah,
for you to see. So I did one from Alice in Wonderland was the Alice is the character I chose.
yeah.
And then I chose an Abby Posner song called
Which, by the way, if you don't know Abby Posner yet, given your love for like the Nickel Creek world, you should
Yeah, yeah,
definitely check out Abby Posner.
Well, we just saw her, which is why she was in my head.
right on. Yeah,
Um,
I'm adding it. I'll add it to the drive playlist. I got 5 hours to.
Woo!
yeah, she's wonderful.
Yeah, that's great.
Um, so this is from the song Emergency Use Only. And the lyrics are, I need to write in a darker pen or bigger, or we need more lighting out here. So on these dark and windy roads, you could nod off with a blink. These days, life feels like a chore, thrown out to the deepest sea. Now I cannot find the shore. Take it out on me. All the stories in your head, you don't have to believe. Time may slip on by. The arc we learn depends on how hard we try. And I thought that kind of summed up Alice's journey.
It's awesome.
And that's why I chose that one.
Way better
to sum it up.
lyric than anyone can write a song. So,
Oh, I don't know
Oh, no,
though.
no.
Because
The reason I chose Anyone Can Write a Song
I
is
it wasn't
because
even one of the songs I when I gave Courtney a list of your songs to kind of pick and choose from.
definitely
That one
seems like something that wouldn't make the cut.
it wasn't on my like the top 10 list that I sent her. So
so I
I was
chose
even
Anyone
surprised.
Can Write a Song to start from because it has the line, if you don't have a song to choose from, you can choose this one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that was the launching point because anyone can choose that song to start from. So if you don't have a memory to choose, and for me, it almost makes me want to cry a little. For me, it was really significant because so often it's going to make me cry. So often I don't have a memory or a song to choose from.
Mm,
So that song really struck me
yeah,
because it was it was like a memory I could immediately I always say hang a hook from. So it was like a little gift immediately.
yeah.
And it for me immediately rang true. So it was like a universal song that anyone could access. So in a classroom for me, that was, you always, as a teacher, I always want a touchstone, like one thing that everyone can hold on to before I give them things to branch off. So your song was like the one thing that everyone, like the one gift everyone gets before then they go off to have their
That's great.
unique. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I love songs about songs too. Like
Uh-huh.
I've written a few, but I love a good song that about someone's love for music. I love the songs about where bands will reference other songs, where
Uh-huh.
like I it's that moves me when bands sort of celebrate and recognize like you know why they're doing what they're doing is because of someone else, like showed this. So anyway, yeah, songs about songs. It's
No, I love that. And
Yes.
I was telling Courtney, as we kind of head toward the end here, my journey with Gameface started when I took over a freshman at my freshman year of college. I took over a college radio station at Pacific University.
all right.
And luckily, I took it over from someone who had incredible taste in music and curated a really cool CD collection. And for the 2 years that I ran the show there, we started every episode, every show with Laughable.
Oh, right on.
So for me, Game Face was immediately kind of a foundational. My first week of college, I stumbled upon this,
Yeah,
this CD stack,
that's cool.
and it definitely led me on a whole new journey through a very different world of music at that time. I mean, we're Pacific Northwest kids. We came out of the grunge. I mean, everything I listened to was pretty much
Yeah,
grunge from the
yeah. Oh
start.
yeah, for sure.
Um, so it opened a lot of doors into like what you were talking about earlier, the idea of melody and songwriting and the authenticity that goes along with that. So I really appreciate you allowing us to be a part of that journey. And thank you so much for hopping on here today with us. This was absolutely a pleasure for us.
Thank
Such a
you. No,
gift.
anytime, anytime. For
Thank you so much for your time.
Wonderful. And well, have a great 5 hour trip and
yeah,
enjoy the road songs.
for sure.
And we will talk soon.
And if you ever make it to Portland, we'd love to have you for
Yeah,
dinner.
I need to go
Have
for
you
the
ever had a moment that you live to regret? Or maybe even one that hasn't happened yet? What about the that you learned while you were singing the song. That's Cassingles. That's Cassingles. Yeah, that's Cassingles.